I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. Now, in this website, we're trying to organize 20,000 videos from YouTube for a better access. I hope you find it useful. Feel free to provide your comments and suggestions while we are developing this website. Now, let us look into solving quadratic equations. In this video, we have taken up 4 questions and we are going to solve all the equations with quadratic formula. Earlier, we have seen how to solve quadratic equations using factoring and completing the squares method. Now, these 3 are popular ways of solving any quadratic equation. Let's begin with question number 1, which is solve by quadratic formula. We are given 2 quadratic equations. After that, we'll have some practice questions. Question number 3 and 4 are application questions. I'll further provide you with many application examples which will have different methods of solving quadratic equations. So let's begin with the very first one. Solve by quadratic formula A. The equation here is 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 equal to 0. Now let me remind you the quadratic formula. For equation in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, the value of x is minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. Right? So that is the formula which helps us to provide the solution. So in our case, we know a is 2, b is 3, and c is minus 5. Substituting these values, we directly get the answer. So x in this case will be equal to minus of b value, which becomes minus 3 plus minus square of 3, right? So we'll write 3 square minus 4 times a is 2 and c is minus 5 divided by 2 times a, which is 2. So we get minus 3 plus minus square root of 9. Now that minus and minus becomes plus. So we have 4 times 5, 20 and 2, 40 divided by 2 times 2, which is 4, and that is minus 3 plus minus square root of 49 over 4. Now 49 is, square root of 49 is 7, right? So let's bring it on the right side. So we have the value of x as minus 3 plus minus 7 over 4. So we have 2 solutions for x. One is minus 3 plus 7 by 4. The other one is minus 3 minus 7 by 4, right? So we have x equal to, that is 4 over 4, which is 1. And here we have x equals to minus 10 over 4, which you can write as minus 5 over 2. Right? So these are the 2 solutions for the given equation. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. Now let us take solution for part B, which is 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 equal to 0. Now in this case, a is 2, b is equal to minus 5, and c is equals to 3. Right? The solution is x equals to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2 times a. Right? So we can write from the given equation, minus of minus 5 is plus 5 plus minus minus 5 square minus 4 times a is 2 and c is 3 over 2 times 2. So that gives us let's write down here. 5 plus minus square root of 25 minus 6 times 4, 24 over 4. So that is 5 plus minus square root of 1 over 4. So we have two solutions here. The solutions are 5 plus 1 over 4 and 5 minus 1 over 4, right? That is 6 over 4 or 3 over 2. And this is 4 over 4 or 1, right? So we have our solution, and that is x equals to 1 or 3 over 2. Is that clear to you, right? So that is how you should be solving a quadratic equation. Now we'll apply a shortcut way of solving these equations, right? You've understood all the steps. So these are the practice questions. So let us see how to solve them one by one, right? So A for us is x squared plus x minus 1 equal to 0. So applying the formula, we get x equals to minus of 1 plus minus 1 square minus 4ac, right? So 4 times 1 times minus 1 divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Minus 1 plus minus square root of, that becomes plus, right? Over 2. So we get minus plus minus minus 1 plus minus square root of 5 over 2. So that becomes the exact answer. The question says that if necessary, we have to write it to 2 decimal places. So let's find the answer to 2 decimal places. So we have negative 1 negative square root of 5 is equal to, and we are going to divide this by 2 and write decimal equivalent, which is, so one of the answers for this is minus 1.618, which can be rounded as 62. The other one will be minus 1 plus square root of 5 equals to divided by 2. And this is 0.618 or 62. Okay? So these are the 2 solutions for the given equation, and they have been rounded to 2 decimal places. Perfect. So we have to round them to 2 decimal places. The next one here is minus 4.9 x squared plus 10x plus 1 equals to 0. So x is equal to minus of 10 plus minus square of 10, right? So 10 square minus 4 times minus 4.9 times 1 over 2 times minus 4.9, right? So we get minus 10 plus minus. Let's calculate this value. So within square root, this becomes plus, right? So we have square root of 10 square plus 4 times 4.9, right? So which is equal to 10.936. So we're taking 3 decimal places, and then we'll round it to 2, right? And the denominator is minus 9.8. So the one value is minus 10 plus 10.936 divided by minus 9.8. The other value is minus 10 minus 10.936 divided by minus 9.8. Correct? So the first one we can, so we know this is a negative answer, right? So this will give you a positive divided by negative will give you a negative answer, right? So let's do 10.936 minus 10 equals to divided by within brackets minus 9.8 equals to. So we have negative answer as expected, and it is x equals to negative 0. It says 0.955, right? So let me write 0.955. So I'm going to round it to negative 0.10. Is it clear to you? Now the other one here will be positive since the negatives change. So we can divide 20.936 by 9.8. And that in decimals is equal to 2.14, right? So 136 has been rounded to 2.14. Is that clear? So the other answer here is x equals to 2.14. So I hope this is absolutely clear, right? The next equation here is x squared minus x equals to 0. Now, in this, we know a is 1, b is minus 1, and c is 0, right? So, we can find x as minus of minus 1 is plus 1, plus minus b squared, which is 1, minus 4ac, so it is 4, divided by 2 times a, so 2 times 1. So what we have here is 1 plus minus, c is 0, right? So this should have been 0, correct? I'm sorry, this is 0. So what we get here is 1 plus minus square root of 1 divided by 2. So which gives us two answers, which is 1 plus minus 1 over 2. So one of the answers here is x equal to 1 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 1. And the other one is x equals to 1 minus 1 divided by 2, which is 0. So we get these two as our answers for question number 2. So I hope that is absolutely clear, right? Now let's take the next question. Now these equations, we have fractions here. So we can write x as equal to minus of 4, which is 4, plus minus square of minus 4 is 16, minus 4ac. So 4 times half times 3. Divided by 2 times half, correct? So we get 4 plus minus square root of 16. Now 4 half is 2, 2 times 3 is 6 over 1, right? So what we have is 4 plus minus square root of 10. So we have two solutions. Let's figure this out. So the first one here is 4 plus square root of 10, which in decimals is 7.16. And the other value is 4 minus square root of 10, which in decimals is 0.837, which will be rounded to 0.84. Perfect. Okay. In this case, x is equal to minus of minus 3, which is 3, plus minus square of this will be 9, minus 4 times AC. Now that becomes positive, right? So we'll write 4 times half times 2 divided by 2 times minus half. So that gives you 3 plus minus square root of 9. Half and half 2 cancels, so 9 minus 4 over, that is minus 1. So that gives you the solution as minus 3 minus plus square root of 5. So these two solutions, let's figure this out. So we have minus 3 plus square root of 5 equals to, in decimals, we have minus 0.763. So I'll write as 0.6. And the other value is square root of, both are negative, right? So negative 3 minus square root of 5 which in decimals is negative 5.236, 5.23, I'll write. Right? So that is how we are going to do it. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear. Now we have 3x squared plus 6x plus 5. So x is equal to minus 6 plus minus. Square of 6 is 36 minus 4 times 3 times 5 divided by 2 times 3. So that gives you minus 6 plus minus square root of 36 minus. So this is 20 times 3 is 60, right? So we get a negative number within the radical. So minus 6 plus minus square root of, now see that is negative, right? So we get 4, 524 with a negative sign. So since we have square root of negative, so we have no solution, no real solution. So in the domain of complex numbers, you will have a solution for this. But otherwise, it has no real solution. So I hope that makes sense. Perfect. So let's move on and take the other questions. Question number 3. The perimeter of a rectangle with area of 300 centimeters square is 80 centimeters. Find length and width of the rectangle. So let's say this is the rectangle whose length is L and W is the width, right? So we are given that the perimeter is 80. Perimeter is twice length plus width. So we get one equation. So 80 divided by 2 is length plus width. So that means 40 is length plus width. Now from here, we can write length in terms of width, right? So we can write this as 40 minus W. The other condition given to us is about the area. We get length times width equals to 300. Now, let's call this as our equation 1 and this as equation 2. So we are going to sub 1 in 2 to get another equation in one variable. So length is 40 minus W times W is 300. So we get our equation which is 40 minus W square equals to 300. Now this is a quadratic equation which we can use, we can find solution using quadratic formula, right? So let me rewrite this equation. Taking the terms to the right side, we can write W square, 40W, right? Minus 40W plus 300 equals to 0, right? So let's solve this using the formula. So we have W square minus 40W plus 300 equals to 0. So W is negative of this, which is 40, plus minus square root of square of 40, which is 1600, minus 4 times this, right? So 4 times 300 divided by, so we are doing this shortcut since we have done many questions related to this, right? So that is 1600 minus 1200, which is 400 over 2, right? So from here we get our result, which is 40 plus minus square root of 400. 100 is 10, 4 is 2, so it's 20, right? Over 2. So that gives us two solutions. One is 40 plus 20 by 2, which is 30. The other is 40 minus 20 by 2, which is 10. Right? So that means width equals to, let's say 10, the length is equal to 40 minus 10, which is 30, right? So if you substitute the other value, you get width equals to 30, then length is 40 minus 30, which is 10. So same combination, correct? So anyway, so we get the dimensions. This could be either way. And the units will be centimeters. So we can write down our answer, and that is, in this case, the dimensions are, we'll take longer length for length, right? So we'll say 30 by 10. So that is how, using the quadratic formula, we can solve this. Now here is the last question. Question number 4. A plane takes 6 hours to fly a distance of 3,000 kilometers while traveling into the wind. On the return journey, it takes an hour less. That means 5 hours. Find the speed of the plane in still air and speed of the wind. Assume same conditions. So in distance-time relations, it is always a good practice to make a table, right? So remember, we are working with distance, speed, and time. So we can say distance, speed, and time. Distance in our case is in kilometers, speed will be in kilometers per hour, and time will be in hours. So when we are going in a direction with the wind and against the wind, so those are the two scenarios, right? So we have two scenarios here. So in one, it is plane and wind are in the same direction. The other one, they are in the opposite direction. So when they are in the same direction, in that case, time taken will be lesser. When they are in the opposite direction, time taken will be more. Well, in both the cases, distance is 3,000. Now speed, when they are in the same direction, so we say P for plane and W for wind, it adds up. Against means plane minus W, right? Time taken is lesser here by 1, and here it is 6. Is that clear to you? So I kind of did the second statement first, okay? So we get our relation in this particular form, right? Now, from here, we can get two equations to solve. So one of the equation is, we'll use distance, speed, time formula, right? So we have this triangle, distance, speed, and time. So we can say that the speed is distance over time, right? So I'm not using quadratic equation, I'm solving it much simpler. So we are saying P plus W is the speed, right? So we are using speed as distance over time, right? So distance is 3,000 over time, which is 5. And P minus W is 3,000 over 6. So when you divide by 5, 5 goes 6 times, you get 600 here. When you divide by 6, you get 500 here. Clear? So we actually get two equations. Now to find the solution, what I can do here is, we can just add equation 1 and 2. So if you add the equation, you get twice plane speed is equal to 600 plus 500. So the plane speed is 600 plus 500 divided by 2, right? Which is 550, okay? Average of these two. As far as the wind velocity or speed is concerned, you can use any one of these. So wind speed is 600 minus P. So it is 600 minus 550. So we get 50. So we get our answer here. So answer is plane is 550 kilometers per hour and wind is 50 kilometers per hour, right? So fortunately, we didn't even make a quadratic equation in this case, and we solved it without making a quadratic equation. So that's the beauty, right? So you could actually solve many questions where you are expecting a quadratic formula without doing so, if you take care of avoiding fractions. I hope that makes sense. So with this, we have solved our test paper where we learned how to use quadratic formula if required, and write down the answers to 2 decimal places if required. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to write your comments, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.